They laughed when I brought it up in the briefing. Thought I was just chasing ghosts again, old Wren with his tinfoil theories, someone muttered. But I knew what I'd heard. The signal wasn't loud. It was barely a whisper buried beneath interstellar static. A symmetrical pulse, repeating every 33 hours and 12 minutes with a decay pattern that matched no natural phenomenon. The algorithms flagged it as background noise, probably a pulsar or a decaying satellite. But I'd been out there before. Deep black. I'd seen what the void really hides. And this wasn't random. I spent a week isolating the waveform. The pattern shifted ever so slightly each time it repeated, like someone was adjusting it. Not just a beacon, something reactive. A language without words. A shape trying to remember its form. I presented it to the Science Directorate, to Command, even to the Interstellar Archives. All dismissed it. Too weak. Too distant. No strategic value. But one man paid attention, Captain Ross Lynn. The Navy's Golden Star. Young, smart, all nerve and edge. She didn't laugh. She just leaned forward and said, "Show me." 3 days later, I was pulled back into active service, slotted onto the SS Wayfarer, a quiet, fast recon ship with a skeleton crew and black-level clearance. No press, no records. We were heading to the Oort Cloud, the outermost edges of Sol's Reach, where no human ship had ventured in decades. Beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, into the real dark. I stood in the observation deck as we left Earth's orbit, staring out at the stars. I had a knot in my gut. A sense I hadn't felt since the last war. Because that signal, whatever it was, hadn't just been repeating. It had been asterisk waiting star. And I was the only one who knew it was calling asterisk as asterisk back. The Wayfarer was built for silence, low emission, radar-absorbent hull, no unnecessary chatter. In other words, the perfect ghost to slip through the system unnoticed. And out here, in the ice-choked void beyond Pluto, that mattered. We weren't just scouting, we were trespassing. After 6 days of drift, we reached the signal's coordinates. Nothing but darkness. No planetoids. No ancient wrecks. Just black. Even the stars looked thinner here, like light itself was reluctant to shine. We deployed long-range probes, sweeping every centimeter. Hours passed. Then one of the techs, Mara, gasped. The signal had changed. What once was a simple repeating pulse had now shifted. It no longer looped. It adapted. The waveform began to fracture and reassemble itself, like it recognized us. Like it was asterisk answering star. Only, it didn't speak in any known language. Not sound. Not code. It was emotion, asterisk desperation asterisk, encoded in frequency and decay. It felt wrong. Dr. Calvi, our communication specialist, ran an old Earth dialect decryption protocol, mostly out of curiosity. The results came back and stopped the room cold. The linguistic patterns weren't alien. They were asterisk asterisk human asterisk asterisk. Fragmented, degraded, centuries old. But undeniably human. A warning sent through time and silence. Calvi's voice shook when she read it aloud. Don't answer. They heard us last time. I remember the silence that followed. No one moved. No one blinked. It felt like the ship itself held its breath. We'd come to investigate a signal. But what we'd found was an asterisk message from the future star. A scream across time. And we had no idea who, or asterisk what asterisk, had heard it last time. You'd think hearing a message like that would be enough to turn the ship around. Don't answer. They heard us last time. That should have been the end of it. But for Captain Ross Lynn, it only raised more questions. She believed it was a drill, a high-level psyop to test crew composure. Or maybe bait from naval intelligence to see if I'd break. She didn't believe in ghosts, and she sure as hell didn't believe in time-traveling warnings. So she did the unthinkable. She answered. A tight beam reply, encrypted, Minimal. Just a single packet burst toward the source of the original signal. A "who are you" wrapped in Navy standard handshake protocol. That's when everything began to unravel. 10 minutes later, our forward scanners glitched. The AI reported spatial discontinuities, a phrase that shouldn't exist outside theory. The stars outside the viewport shifted. Slightly. Subtly. As if the sky itself had blinked. Then came the hum. Low and buried in the walls, like the ship's own systems were whispering. And then Dan screamed. He was in the med bay, checking for radiation exposure, when he collapsed. His body convulsed. His pupils dilated, and he began to speak. Not in his own voice, but something older, cracked, and distorted. "They found the signal again," he rasped. "They're coming. Asterisk." He seized once more and died before we could stabilize him. That was when I knew the message hadn't been a metaphor. It had been a literal warning. Past mistake our future horror, repeating itself because we dared to answer. We tried to shut down the comms. Isolate ourselves. Kill the feed. But it didn't matter anymore. We had already been heard star. 40 hours after Dan's died, the Watchers arrived. They didn't decloak. They didn't hail. They didn't even appear on standard radar. Our sensors picked them up through gravitational lensing, 3 massive objects moving without inertia, without sound, without heat. They defied everything we knew about physics. Blacker than the void itself, like silhouettes cut out of space. They stopped 1 million kilometers from us. Perfectly still. Aligned like predators waiting just beyond torchlight. No movement. No emissions. Just present star. The kind you feel in your spine before you ever see it. Captain Roslin held her nerve. Ordered a full stealth lockdown. Comms silenced. Power rerouted to passive systems only. The Wayfarer went dead. Still, they didn't leave. Hours passed. Then, without warning, our onboard AI triggered a security override. Systems flared back online against command protocol. Not hacked, overridden star. Like something outside had reached in and pulled the circuits to life. The ship flooded with data. Binary streams. Fractals. Visual flashes. They weren't messages in the traditional sense, they were memory star. Compressed into patterns the AI barely managed to decode. Dr. Calvi scrambled to parse it. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. And maybe she had. The images came next. Flickering on every screen. Earth burning. Megacities turned to ash. Orbital stations torn apart. Colonial outposts, gone. Massive constructs like the ships outside, sweeping through systems with surgical violence. The screams didn't come through audio. They came through the silence. Billions dying in data fragments. A memory from the future. A history we hadn't yet lived. And it all began with a signal. Ours. Answering had been the key. And now, just like before, they were here. We had to find a way out, something, anything. But the data flooding our systems wasn't just a threat. Buried in the chaos, in the madness of future death, was a glimmer of hope. Calvi called it an encoded anomaly. I called it a lifeline. Amidst the ruin, we found a schematic. Fragmented, ancient, but unmistakably human. A machine unlike anything we'd ever built, or were supposed to have built. Not a weapon. Not exactly. A time engine star. Not a device for traveling through time. That was still beyond us. This was something different, something terrifying. A signal caster. A temporal fracture point. Built to send pure data backward through quantum entanglement and gravity wave resonance. A warning system for a civilization on the brink of extinction. One last chance to speak to its own past. The future humans, whoever they were, had lost. That much was clear. They couldn't stop the enemy, not with ships, not with armies. So they built this instead. Sent memories, schematics, warnings through time to the only people who might stop it before it began, a star. But the design was incomplete. Deliberately scrambled. Probably to keep it from being intercepted by the Watchers. To build it, we'd need to finish the design. Reconstruct the entire temporal interface. We were scientists, yes, but we weren't miracle workers. And even if we could do it, building the time engine meant activating its star. It meant casting a signal stronger and more unnatural than the first. It meant shouting into the void. The same void we now knew was listening. Roslyn hesitated. The crew was divided. But I didn't hesitate. If this was our only chance to change the ending, then I was going to take it. Even if it meant breaking time itself. We didn't have time to debate. The Watchers were still there, emotionless, patient, like spiders that knew the web would do the work for them. We moved fast, tearing apart the Wayfarer's secondary cores, converting power relays into pulse arrays, scavenging every scrap of superconductive fiber we could find. We built the time engine right there in the comms bay, surrounded by cables, heat, and fear. But it wasn't enough. The schematics required a neural interface, something biological to align the output, to guide the message. It needed a human mind. One willing to burn. I volunteered. Not because I was the best choice. Because I was the only one who already had a deep-sink neural jack, left over from a past I'd tried to leave behind. Cold War spy tech. Illegal now. But perfect for this. They strapped me in. The moment the interface came online, I felt like my skull cracked open. My thoughts weren't thoughts anymore, they were currents flowing through time itself. I could see echoes, fragments, of what had happened. Earth falling. The first signal. Humanity rising too late. I screamed into the dark, into the future, into the past star. We were warned. It was real. Do not respond again. Build the shield. Bury this message. Erase the stars. The engine surged. Every screen lit up with light. Temporal energy rippled through the ship. We had done it. But the Watchers responded. They moved, instantly, crossing space like it didn't exist. One moment they were distant shadows. The next, they loomed just outside our hull. We expected death. But they didn't attack. They stopped. Hovering. Observing. And then they turned. Not toward us. But toward Earth We thought it was over. That we'd failed. That we'd only brought death home faster. The Watchers shifted their attention from us like we no longer mattered, as if we were just a stepping stone to something bigger. Earth. Calvi was sobbing quietly in the corner. Roslyn stood frozen, staring at the sensor feed, her knuckles white. We were silent, watching helplessly as the black ships began their final movement, bending the laws of reality as they surged across the system. No light. No trail. Just inevitability. But then, something happened. The Wayfarer's sensors flared. Massive signatures ignited across low orbit. Energy readings unlike anything we'd ever seen. Structures we didn't recognize suddenly uncloaked defense grids embedded in the moon, kinetic towers rising from ocean trenches, orbital cannons long buried in classified black budgets. They had been waiting. And then the Vengeance Protocol appeared. It burst out from behind Jupiter's shadow like a myth-given form. Not a ship. A fortress. A city of war strapped to a spinal gun so massive it made our carrier look like a toy. It had no official record. No call sign. But every encrypted channel we had lit up with one message. We heard the signal. The Watchers accelerated, but they weren't alone now. Humanity had learned. Maybe not in our time, but in the one ahead. They had taken the warning, buried it, prepared for the moment it came true. And now, that moment had arrived. The first shots echoed like gods throwing thunder. Earth didn't run. Earth * fought back star. Because no matter how dark the future had become, no matter how powerful the enemy was, we were still human. And humans? We don't go quietly.